I was born in Hazard, Kentucky, but I was raised in Breathitt County, over there, kind of where Breathitt, Perry, and Owsley all kind of mesh. It's a little place called Longs Creek
Okay.
over near Morris Fork, Buckhorn area is where I grew up and raised. Back as far as I can remember, I grew up, like I said, close to the lake,
Yeah.
and of course, with lakes comes rivers. And my grandfather, he lived right on the river, so I spent most of my summers down on the river. I'm 25 now. This was probably when I was far about 8 or 9 years old. In the summertime, around this time right here, I can remember I had a lot of uncles growing up, and we would all of them would always get together. We would go out on the river, go fishing,
Oh yeah.
set bush hooks, trot lines,
Yeah.
all that stuff. We and kind of to paint the picture even more, we after every catch or whatever, my uncles they would all get together, clean the fish, and my grandma, how the old saying goes, "You catch them and I'll have the grease up." Well, that was literal. You're talking about a home, and she dead middle of summertime, and it's 85, 90 degrees out easy, and she would have that hot grease frying, take them straight from the cleaning table, batter them up, and her special blend, take them and throw them in the grease, and it just pop and sizzle. She'd have a big pan of cornbread made, mustard greens to go with it,
Oh yeah. She
little
done
bit,
it right.
little bit of vinegar.
Yeah,
Uh,
man.
have just all kinds of different sides. She would make homemade fries, mac and cheese. Usually that was my mom's kind of deal. She would make the sides, and my grandma would fry the cornbread and do all of that. Have raised a huge garden. The whole family kind of got together and would raise a really big garden. Um, so that's something that was very influential on my life. Something I don't do now. Wish I did. Still go fishing on the river,
Yeah.
and go hang out. I did that just the other day. Um, actually, and I told you it's probably better than good. I had an easy childhood, very easy childhood growing up, and I was my neighbor now, which is my good friend's dad. He keeps foster kids,
Yeah.
and I own a wood shop over there. And so the young man he came over and was wanting to learn woodworking, and we were talking. I have two John boats, and we were talking. He said, "When are we going to go out fishing?" So I said, "Well, let's plan it." And we planned it. We went last weekend. It first time he'd ever, I guess, been on the river on a John boat. I think he'd bank fishing this and that. And I was telling him about like how I grew up there on that river, same river.
Yeah.
I live just now, just maybe 5 or 10 more minutes further from it from where I grew up. And I didn't move far from home. So anyway, I I was telling him about growing up there, and how me and all of my buddies would go find these. We would find, you could find those big long ropes or whatever, maybe that got washed off from someone's little dock they had up the river there or something. We would
Yeah.
always go and just make a day of it, tie rope swings up, and I was telling him all about that. And we were leaving that evening, loading the boat up, and he said, "Geo, Josh," he said, "I wish I had your childhood growing up, and you don't realize it, looking back,
Yeah.
uh, and then you look back when something like that's brought to your attention, and you say, "Wow, I really did have a great childhood growing up here," which I never thought I didn't, but
Right. It brought it to light a little
yeah, it
more.
brought it to light a little more. And this kid, he's kind of been moved around, and um, originally from California, and just been kind of moved around this and that.
Well, I think
So,
it's good of you to actually take him out fishing
oh
and
yeah, yeah,
tell him stories and stuff.
yeah,
I'm satisfied it's good for him, and I don't even know the youngin.
yeah. He's a good kid, very
Yeah.
good kid, and I would build tree houses
Yeah.
way up in trees in a bunch of poplar thickets.
Yeah.
Poplars easy, and then it would get about wintertime when those poplars they'd be about that big around everything. I built everything up, and then of course I'd nail them to the bigger poplar trees. And
They
once
walk
it
off
got
on you.
yeah, once it got about wintertime, you couldn't play in it no more because they were rotted out and just already dried out and would just split.